Welcome, friend, to a quiet journey into a world often forgotten, the life of a medieval executioner. Here we walk slowly through shadows and silence, exploring stories whispered on the edge of history. So find a comfortable place, take a deep breath, and let your mind wander gently with the tale that unfolds. This is a story not of terror, but of humanity, carried softly through time. It begins on the outer rim of the village, where the stone road gives up and becomes earth again, soft and stubborn with grass. You live there in a house set apart, near the crooked willows and the mossy fence where the wind never quite settles. The mornings are quieter here, no merchants shouting prices, no children chasing hens. Just the rustle of leaves and the whine of the cartwheel as you push it out from under the awning, careful not to wake the chickens too harshly. They, too, deserve peace before the sun rises too high. You are not unloved, but you are not loved either. People know your name, but they rarely say it. They nod without looking. They pass by quickly, as if your very shadow might cling. But no one throws stones. No one spits. There is a kind of truce, born from necessity and fear, and you have grown used to it. The world lets you be mostly. It forgets you when it can. Your house is small, but solid. Wattle and daub walls. A roof of thatch, heavy with the weight of damp seasons. Inside, it smells of smoke and dried herbs, and the thick old wood of your table creaks when you lean against it. There are no luxuries, but you are not poor. You have meat sometimes, wine when you want it, trade quietly, with people who ask no questions. Up at the back of the house, there is a shed where you keep the tools. Not just the one people think of, though that too, wrapped in cloth, laid flat on a bed of straw like something sleeping, but many tools. Some cruel, some kind, some neither. Ropes, chains, a bucket of sharp stones, a barrel of lye, a wooden block you sand smooth every month. It's tools for punishment, for mercy, for the messy middle where law and justice do not always touch. You do not speak of your work unless someone makes you, and even then, only in small, careful pieces. Like placing wet firewood near the hearth and letting it dry slowly, never in flame. You are not always this. You remember that sometimes. In the long hours of night when the wind moans under the door and your joints ache from too many winters, you remember a time before the post, before you took the hood and the oath, and the long silence that followed. You were a boy once, maybe even kind. You had a mother who sang as she ground barley, and a sister who laughed with her whole body. You played in the river. You built traps for fish. You chased a dog named Ludo through the high grass. You were not meant for this life. But life, as you've learned, has little interest in what one is meant for. They chose you, or maybe they did not. Maybe you volunteered. The memory is blurred now, like parchment left too close to the fire. You remember the drought that came before, sickness, the punishment, the silence after. You remember needing coin. You remember needing a place. And when the old one died, old Gottfried, with his crooked hand and long white hair, you were the only one who stepped forward. No one clapped. No one thanked you. But they needed someone, and so you became him, the man behind the hood, the arm of the gallows, the end of the line. And now, years later, you are still here. Still in the house on the edge of town? Still rising before the sun, boiling your porridge in the iron pot, stirring in salt and a bit of dried onion, eating slowly, methodically, as the smoke curls upward into the beams. You clean your hands with water from the rain barrel. You comb your beard with a bone pick. You tend your little garden, cabbages, leeks, wormy carrots. You live a life. The chickens know you, the crows do too. Sometimes they follow you, fat and glossy, wings like velvet thunder. They perch on the fence post and watch as you split wood, head tilted, as if they know something you don't. You do not mind them. You nod to them sometimes. You find that you prefer creatures who ask for nothing more than a bit of seed, a bit of warmth, a quiet place to rest. It is spring now. The earth is waking. Shoots push through the cold soil with shy stubbornness. The air smells of thawing bark and yesterday's rain. People are out more, farmers sharpening their plows, mothers hanging linens, old men grumbling about young ones, with no patience for hoeing straight. They see you, of course, from a distance, a flicker at the edge of their day. You, with your heavy boots and woolen hood, moving like a shadow at the edge of the fields. Some cross themselves, some turn away. Some simply stare, uncertain whether to pity or fear you. You do not blame them. You know what they think. You sleep among bones, that you drink blood, that you speak to spirits. You are cursed. That your blade whispers when no one else is near. That you do not cry, that you cannot feel. They are wrong, of course. But it is easier to let them believe. Because the truth is simpler and sadder. You are a man who eats, who sleeps, who dreams, who listens to the frogs at night and counts the cracks in his ceiling. A man who once held a child and tried not to shake. A man who does his duty because someone must, because someone always must. And this morning, like all others, you finish your porridge and set the bowl aside and breathe in the heavy quiet of your little home. A knock will come soon, or a bell, or a messenger with a seal. It always comes in time. But not yet. For now, the fire crackles, and the chickens cluck softly, and the world has not asked for blood. Not yet. The knock comes just after sunrise, soft and careful, as if the hand behind it is unsure whether it wishes to be heard at all. 3 slow taps against the door, not the frantic banging of someone in need, nor the confident rhythm of a friend. It is the sound of duty dressed in hesitation. You place your spoon down gently, still half full with oat porridge gone lukewarm. The chickens cluck outside as though nothing has changed, and the smoke from your hearth curls lazily in the quiet morning light. You rise without hurry. The floor creaks beneath your feet, familiar and worn in the places where you always step. You know who waits beyond the door, or rather, you know the kind of person who does. It's never the same boy, but they're always boys. It's always young and red-cheeked, with wax seals in their satchels and averted eyes. When you open the door, there he is. A thin figure cloaked in burgundy wool, the color of official things. His boots are dusty. His lips move, forming no words, just a stiff nod. He does not meet your gaze. From his pouch, he retrieves the parchment, folded in thirds, the seal still warm from the fire where it was melted. Black wax. Thick and gleaming, marked with the magistrate's emblem. A single, simple loop of rope. He holds it out with both hands, as if afraid to touch it any longer, as if it might burn. You take it. You do not speak. He backs away almost immediately, bowing his head, retreating down the muddy path like a servant who has delivered a curse. By the time you've turned back into the house, he is already gone. You sit at your table. The bowl of oats is forgotten now, the warmth of the room folded around you like a familiar cloak. Slowly you break the seal and unfold the parchment, careful not to tear the edge. You stare at the ink. The lines are precise, written by a practiced hand. Not hurried, but not compassionate either. The letters are dry already, the verdict long since decided. You whisper the name once, softly. Emmerich Galt. It means nothing to you. Not yet, but it will. You rise, fold the parchment, and slide it into the drawer where the other names have lived, briefly before fading. You do not keep them all. You do not keep them long. But for now, it rests beside the others. A quiet waiting. Wrap your cloak around your shoulders and step outside. The sun is climbing and the village is beginning to stir, bakers' fires roaring to life, pigs squealing in pens, laundry flapping wetly on the lines. You walk the outer path, the one that skirts the edge of the fields, away from the watchful windows and lowered gazes. Not because you must hide, but because this part of the ritual is yours. 4 days from now, a crowd will gather. 4 days from now, they will line the square, mothers and children. Men with folded arms, merchants with one eye on the gallows and one on their coin purse. They will say nothing, but their presence will speak volumes. You will be expected to stand quietly, to speak only what is required, to act with precision and resolve. You will be the last thing Emmerich Galt sees. But not yet. Today, you go to the carpenter's shed, where the wood is being planed for a scaffold not yet built. The carpenter nods as you enter. He does not ask for names. You do not offer them. He marks the date on the scrap of board nailed to his wall and returns to his work without a word. From there, you visit the priest. He stands in the chapel yard, trimming dead leaves from the rose bushes. He glances up when he sees you. For a moment his hands still. He does not bless you, but he also does not turn away. You tell him the date, he nods. He will prepare the prayers. He will walk beside the condemned, as is custom. You thank him with a slight incline of your head, and he returns it, his eyes softer than most. You pass through the village square, empty now but for a dog asleep in the sun. Stand there for a moment, letting the wind play with the edge of your cloak. You imagine the platform, the rope, the boy. You do not know what he stole. You are not told. Repeated theft, the parchment said. It is enough to warrant death, they've decided. A man's life, traded for a loaf of bread, a silver cup, a second chance too many times, asked. You wonder what his voice sounds like. You wonder if he will speak. You wonder if he will meet your eyes. Back at home, you sit by the hearth again, the fire burning lower now, the shadows beginning to stretch. You pour water into a tin cup and sip slowly. The chickens have quieted, and the crows have returned to the willow tree, watching you with their glossy, knowing eyes. You speak the name again, softly, like a prayer that can never be answered. Emmerich Galt. You do not know him, but you will. The days stretch long, folded between dawn and dusk, like soft linen, waiting to be worn. You move through them with quiet purpose, the knowledge of what is coming folded deep inside your bones like a slow ache that never quite leaves. Oh, the tools must be ready. The body must be ready. And most of all, you must be ready. The blade waits. It is not large, not gleaming with the bright fire of a knight's sword. It is simple, a heavy, worn axe with a handle smoothed by years of use, its edge carefully sharpened and darkened by countless swipes against whetstones. It rests on your workbench now, wrapped in cloth like a secret kept between old friends. You remember the first time you held it? Your fingers trembled. The weight surprised you, heavier than you expected, as if it carried not only metal, but the breath of every life it had ended. It seemed alive then, humming quietly as though it knew. It still hums. Every so often, you take it down and run your palm along the edge, feeling the cold metal, feeling the memories etched into its surface. You sharpen it slowly, patiently, knowing that this moment matters most, the moment before the blade meets the neck, before the world stops for a single breath. Right. Your hands are steady now. They have learned the weight of the blade, learned how to hold it so it does not falter, how to bring it down with a single, swift, clean motion. Ow! But the weight remains, not just in muscle, but in heart. You think of Emmerich, the boy from the parchment. You do not know his face, but you see it when you close your eyes. Not a mask, not a shadow, but a face, young perhaps, maybe with dirt under his nails, maybe with a desperate flicker in his eyes. You wonder if he dreamed of anything. Freedom, food, love, or simply peace. You prepare the gallows in your mind, again and again. The platform with its creaking boards, the noose tied just so, the drop measured to end the breath quickly. You practice the motions of your work like a slow, grim dance, the rope passing through your fingers, the knot tightening, the final step back. The world does not see this preparation. They only see the moment after. You know better. There is a ritual you follow each time, a breath drawn deep and held, a silence stretched long like a sigh caught in the ribs. You close your eyes and listen to the heartbeat, yours, theirs, the world's. You feel the pulse beneath the dirt, beneath the stones, beneath the very air. It is fragile, so very fragile. You have no illusions that your work is heroic. It is necessary. It is terrible. It is honest. You are the hand that ends, but also the hand that steadies. It's a hand that bears witness when no one else will. It's in the quiet moments before. You sometimes whisper a prayer. It's not for forgiveness, but for clarity, for calm, for strength. For the soul you do not know, and the one you carry inside yourself. The blade calls to you. It's not with sound, but with presence. It is a reminder of your place in the world, not above or below, but alongside the weight of law and mercy. You do not carry a crown, you do not wield a scepter, but your work shapes the silence that follows. You feel the heaviness of the blade as a burden, but also as a bond. It binds you to all those who have stood before the same edge, who have carried the same responsibility. It is a lineage unspoken, a story told in blood and shadow. Tonight as the sun sets and the sky blurs into soft grays and purples, you sit by the fire, the axe resting nearby. You gaze into the flames and see flickers of faces, whispers of stories that will never be told. You think of the many who came before Emmerich and the many who will come after. And you wonder if, in this long chain of moments, there is a spark of grace. You know that when the time comes, you will do your duty with quiet hands and steady heart. You will meet Emmerich's eyes. You will see the life flicker there, and you will hold it gently for the last breath. The blade will fall, and then there will be silence. The morning arrives softly, folding its pale light through the wooden shutters of your small home. The world outside stirs with the familiar sounds of village life. A rooster's crow, the murmur of distant voices, the steady clatter of a wagon's wheels along the stone road. But here, inside your walls, time moves with a different rhythm. A rhythm measured by the slow turning of your thoughts and the careful tending of your tools. You begin the day as you always do. A wash of cool water from the basin, the steady scrape of the knife against the whetstone. The soft brush of cloth as you wrap the blade once more. Every motion is deliberate, a quiet ritual that grounds you before the day grows heavy. Today, there is more to prepare. The gallows must be inspected, the ropes checked for any weakness. The platform must stand firm, ready to hold the weight of justice when it arrives. You make your way to the carpenter's workshop, where the new wood lies waiting, freshly cut and rough to the touch. The scent of pine and earth clings to it, promising strength and steadiness. The carpenter, a sturdy man with eyes like deep-set stones, nods as you approach. His hands are calloused, his movements sure. There is no need for words. Work speaks for itself, and both of you understand its gravity without saying a thing. Together, you test the boards, checking for any hint of splinter or crack. You fasten the beams with heavy nails, each one hammered home with care and precision. The frame begins to take shape, solid and somber, beneath the gray sky. It will stand in the square, a silent witness to the final reckoning. Back at your house, you take the rope from the shelf, feeling its coarse fibers between your fingers. You inspect every inch, searching for frays or weak spots, knowing that the strength of this rope will determine the swiftness of the end. The noose is tied and retied, each loop tightened, just so, the knot positioned with exacting care. There is a weight to these preparations, heavier than the wood or rope. It settles on your shoulders like a cloak woven from silence and shadow. Beneath that weight, there is also a quiet resolve. The knowledge that this work, as terrible as it may be, holds a place in the fragile order of the world. You spend the afternoon walking through the village, your boots stirring dust from the dry earth. The faces you pass glance away quickly, averted like the eyes of children who have glimpsed something too dark to understand. Mothers pull their children close. Men lower their voices. The air is thick with unspoken thoughts. You do not resent their fear. You have long since made peace with it. You are neither hero nor villain. You're the hand that carries the law when it demands its toll. At the chapel, the priest meets you briefly, offering a small nod of acknowledgement. He does not speak, but his eyes hold a softness, a silent understanding of the burden you bear. Accept the small vial of holy water he offers, tucking it carefully into your belt. As evening falls, you sit by the hearth, the flickering flames casting shadows that dance like restless spirits on the walls. You listen to the quiet, the soft crackle of the fire, the distant hoot of an owl. You think of Emmerich again, his name a whisper that lingers in the stillness. Tomorrow, you will see him, not as a condemned man, but as a person, a fleeting life carried gently on the edge of a blade. You close your eyes and breathe deeply, feeling the slow beat of your heart, the steady rhythm of your breath. This is your world, a world of silence and sorrow, of duty and remembrance. And in this moment, you hold it all, the weight, the sorrow, the quiet grace, close to your chest like a fragile flame that must not be allowed to die. Night falls softly over the village, settling like a blanket of dark velvet across the rooftops and fields. The stars emerge one by one, shy and distant, their cold light reaching through the quiet spaces where the world seems to hold its breath. Inside your little house on the edge of town, the fire burns low, casting a warm glow that pushes back the shadows but cannot erase them. You sit by the hearth, the weight of the coming day pressing gently against your chest like the steady pulse of a distant drum. The tools lie near, silent and still, wrapped and waiting. The rope coiled carefully on the bench, the axe resting quietly as if it too understands the solemnness of the hours ahead. You pour yourself a cup of thin wine that tastes sharp and earthy, and you drink it slowly, savoring the quiet, the pause between what was and what will be. Outside, the wind stirs the branches of the old willow tree, whispering secrets in a language only the night understands. Your thoughts wander to Emmerich, whose name still feels strange on your tongue like a word spoken for the first time. You wonder if he too lies awake somewhere, haunted by his fate, imagining a different life, a life where the dawn does not bring the end. There is a small comfort in this shared solitude, even if it is invisible, even if it is never spoken aloud. You rise and move to the window, pushing aside the heavy curtains to look out at the sleeping village. The streets are empty now, save for the flicker of lanterns far in the distance. The silence is deep and full, like the calm before a storm that no one dares to name. As quiet memories come unbidden, faces of those who have come before, some gentle, some fierce, some broken. You recall the way their eyes met yours, full of fear, sorrow, resignation. You remember the prayers they whispered, the last words they spoke, some begging, some cursing, some silent. You think of the weight you carry, not just in your hands, but in your heart, the burden of being both executioner and witness, the man who must do what others will not, and who must hold the memory of the fallen when the world turns away. The night deepens. You light a candle and set it on the table, its flame small and steady against the gathering dark. You sit again, your thoughts slow and deliberate, like the turning of ancient wheels beneath the earth. Sleep is distant, slipping through your fingers like smoke. When it comes, it is fragmented, filled with shadows and half-remembered faces. You dream of Emmerich, standing at the edge of a vast field, the sky wide and endless above him. He looks at you, and in his eyes you see not judgment, but understanding. The dawn will come soon, and with it the day that will change everything. But for now, in the stillness of this night, you hold your breath, waiting, preparing, remembering that even in the darkest work, there is a thread of grace, fragile, unspoken, but never truly lost. The sky is a soft wash of pale gray when you rise, the sun still a secret behind clouds that promise rain. The air is cool, crisp, with the breath of early morning, and the world feels poised on the edge of something vast and inevitable. Your home is still and quiet, the hearth cold, but waiting just like you. You dress slowly, deliberately. The heavy wool cloak folds around your shoulders like a shield. The leather belt tightens at your waist, holding the pouches that carry your few essential tools. You fasten the hood last, pulling it low over your brow, hiding your face but never your purpose. Outside, the village is waking in fits and starts. Smoke curls from chimneys. Doors creak open. Voices murmur, careful and subdued. Some eyes glance toward your house, hesitant and uncertain. They know what today is. They have felt the tension in the air, like a shadow stretching across the square. You step onto the earth, your boots pressing into the damp soil. The path to the square is familiar, and yet heavy with unspoken meaning. You pass the baker's shop, where warm bread scents the air, and the blacksmith's forge, where sparks flicker like tiny stars against dark stone. Life continues, stubborn and relentless. At the square, the gallows stands in quiet dignity. The wooden platform, freshly built, smells of pine and sawdust, the ropes coiled neatly. The noose hanging like a silent question. The carpenter is already there, a silent figure watching the preparations, his hands folded. You nod to him, a brief acknowledgement between two men who understand the weight of the day. The crowd begins to gather, faces pale and restless, whispers curling like smoke. Some come out of duty, others out of curiosity or fear. Children cling to their mothers, hiding behind skirts and shawls. Old men lean heavily on Kane's eyes, distant and thoughtful. Emmerich Galt is brought forward, shackled but steady. His gaze meets yours briefly, a flicker of something unspoken passing between you. You see the lines of worry etched into his young face, the tired set of his jaw. He is no longer just a name on parchment. He is a man, fragile, frightened, human. You feel the familiar pull in your chest, a knot of sorrow and duty. This is the moment you have prepared for, the moment you must hold steady. The priest approaches, murmuring prayers that drift like a soft breeze over the crowd. Emmerich listens quietly, hands clenched. Watch the noose, the rope you have tied and retied, now ready to fulfill its grim promise. Your hands are steady as you take the rope, lifting it with care, placing it gently around Emmerich's neck. You meet his eyes again, offering a silent, wordless comfort that you hope will travel beyond the moment. The platform creaks beneath your feet as you step back, the crowd holding its breath, the world narrowing to the space between life and what comes next. You raise the axe, the weight you know so well, and bring it down with a motion both swift and final. For a heartbeat, there is nothing but silence. Then a release. The world exhales. Emmerich is gone, but the weight does not lift from your shoulders. You stand there a moment longer, eyes closed, listening to the echoes in the square. The crowd begins to stir, some turning away quickly, others lingering in a strange, reverent hush. You fold the rope carefully, place the axe back in its cloth, and begin the slow walk home. The path back into the quiet that awaits. Life continues, stubborn and relentless, and you carry the silence with you. The crowd thins, footsteps scattering like dry leaves caught in a gentle wind. The square empties slowly, the echoes of what happened lingering in the air as if the stones themselves remember. You remain for a moment longer, standing where the platform still holds the weight of absence. The noose sways slightly in the soft breeze, a quiet reminder of the final moment that passed between life and what lies beyond. You breathe deeply, feeling the stillness settle inside you, a calm that is neither peace nor release, but a quiet watching. You know the world will forget quickly. Stories will fade like footprints in the rain. The faces will blur, and the name will slip into the shadows where no one wishes to look. But you will remember. You carry the memory, like a secret thread woven through the fabric of your days. Returning to your house, the familiar creak of the door is a small comfort. The hearth is cold, but you coax it back to life with dry twigs and kindling. The flames dance, casting flickering light that seems to hold its breath, as if waiting for your story. You sit, hands folded, thoughts slow and deep. The axe rests nearby, silent and still. You do not speak of what happened. There are no words that fit. Instead, you listen to the quiet outside. The village carries on. A dog barks in the distance. The wind shifts, stirring the leaves. Somewhere a child laughs, unaware of the shadows that pass just beyond the reach of light. You think of Emmerich, not as a condemned man, but as a part of the world that once breathed and dreamed. Wonder where his story might have led had fate chosen differently. Sleep does not come icily. The weight of the day clings like a heavy cloak, the memories pressing close. Yet, you find solace in the ritual of the night. The steady rise and fall of breath, the soft rustle of the bed linens, the slow turning of the hours. Tomorrow will bring another day, another name, another shadow to carry. But tonight you rest, cradled by the quiet, held by the gentle rhythm of life that moves, even in the face of endings. Days pass like drifting leaves, soft and unremarked, yet heavy with an invisible weight. You live on the edge of town, both in and out of the world, a figure at once present and distant. The village moves around you, a living tapestry of voices and faces, but you walk through it like a shadow, touched but never quite touched back. There is a solitude in your life that is not loneliness. It is a quiet boundary, a space carved out by the nature of your work and the silent fear it inspires. People see you, yet look away. They know your name, yet do not speak it aloud. You are the keeper of endings, the bearer of final truths, and that makes you both necessary and apart. Sometimes, when the sun is low and the wind soft, you sit by the river that curves gently beyond the fields. The water moves slowly, reflecting the shifting sky, carrying leaves and light and memory downstream. You watch it for a while, feeling the steady pulse of life beyond the boundaries that hold you. Here, you can breathe a little freer. Let the silence wrap around you like a soft cloak. You think of the faces you have seen, the final moments you have held. You wonder how many names you have carried away in your heart, how many stories have been folded into the quiet corners of your mind. Your hands bear the marks of your work, calloused, steady, unshaken, but your heart carries a different kind of scar. Scar unseen, but felt deeply, like the fading echo of a distant bell. There are times when the isolation feels like a cage, and times when it feels like a sanctuary. You do not often speak of this. There are no friends to share these thoughts with, no confidants to ease the weight. The few who might listen would not understand, and so the silence remains a companion and a shield. You tend your small garden, coaxing life from the earth in slow, patient rhythms. The touch of soil in your fingers, the quiet growth of green shoots, the small miracles of bloom and fruit, these are the moments that remind you of a world still turning, still alive beyond the shadow you carry. And sometimes, just sometimes, you feel a faint glimmer of hope. A hope that even in the darkest corners, life finds a way to soften the edges to breathe anew. The village may not know your story, may not speak your name, but you carry your truth quietly, with the dignity of a man who has seen the depths and still chooses to rise with the dawn. Even in the quiet moments, when the world seems still and the night presses close, the shadows inside you stir, subtle, restless, like whispers that slip through the cracks of your mind. They are not voices, not memories exactly, but something in between. Flickers of doubt, flickers of sorrow, flickers of a humanity you cannot and will not deny. You carry a burden that is unseen, a weight that does not rest on shoulders but lingers in the spaces between your thoughts. It is a quiet questioning, not of your duty, but of what it means to be both the hand that ends and the heart that mourns. You think often of the faces you have met, not just Emmerich, but others too. The silent ones, the angry ones, the resigned. You wonder about their lives before the sentence, their dreams and fears, the loves they held close or lost. You imagine their footsteps, their laughter, their pain. Sometimes late at night, you whisper their names into the darkness, as if speaking might keep them from fading entirely. Names are all that remain, fragile threads connecting you to a world that forgets too quickly. The weight of these shadows is not easy to bear. They press against the edges of your mind, nudging at the quiet resolve you have built over years. You do not fight them. You do not run. Instead, you learn to hold them gently like fragile glass, careful not to shatter, careful not to lose. There is a strange comfort in this inner darkness, a reminder that beneath the hood and behind the blade, you are still a man, vulnerable, flawed, and deeply alive. You find solace in small rituals, the careful sharpening of your axe, the tending of your garden, the moments spent watching the slow dance of light and shadow through the trees. These are your anchors, your way of staying grounded when the shadows threaten to pull you under. The village continues around you, unaware of the quiet storms you weather. They see only the man they fear or avoid, the figure who carries the law's final sentence. But beneath that mask, there is a soul that aches, a heart that remembers, a mind that questions. And in that remembering, in that questioning, there is a kind of grace. A grace that, though unspoken, is woven through every breath you take. The morning sun filters gently through the narrow windows of your small home, casting long, soft shadows that stretch across the worn wooden floor. Outside, the village awakens slowly. The distant crowing of roosters, the murmur of voices preparing for the day, the gentle clatter of carts moving along the road. Life goes on, as it always does. Inside, the silence is profound. It is a quiet filled with memory, with absence, with the weight of what has passed. The tools lie still, the axe resting once more in its cloth, the rope folded neatly, the wood of the gallows returned to the carpenter for reuse or decay. You sit by the hearth, the embers glowing faintly, warmth lingering in their quiet pulse. You think of Emmerich, his face etched in your mind like a fading photograph, fragile yet undeniable. You carry him with you, along with all the others whose names are whispered only in the soft spaces between moments. The world forgets quickly, but you do not. You remember the breath held, the eyes met, the fragile life surrendered with a single final motion. You hold these memories close, a silent testament to the humanity beneath the hood, beneath the shadow, beneath the weight. There is no glory in your work, no praise or thanks. Only the knowledge that someone must stand at the edge where life ends and look unwaveringly into the abyss. Someone must bear the sorrow and the silence, the burden of endings that no one else dares to carry. You rise slowly and step outside into the cool morning air. The village stretches before you, familiar and unchanged, yet touched now by the invisible threads of what has been. You breathe deeply, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath your feet, the slow, steady rhythm of a world that keeps turning. And in that turning, there is hope. A hope born not from light or joy, but from endurance. The quiet courage to face what must be done and to carry on. You walk toward the fields, the soft earth giving beneath your boots, the wind brushing gently against your cloak. The crows watch you from the fence, their black eyes bright and knowing. You nod to them, a small gesture of kinship in a world that often feels lonely and divided. As the sun climbs higher, warming the stones and the soil, you find a place beneath the willows where the river sings softly over smooth rocks. You sit and listen to its song, the gentle flow that never stops, never falters. Here in the quiet, you find a measure of peace. Not the peace of forgetting, but the peace of remembering with grace. The peace of a man who has lived in shadow and still chooses to walk toward the light. The day stretches ahead full of its own rhythms and demands, but for now in this moment, you rest. You rest with the knowledge that your story, the story of the forgotten executioner, will live on quietly, softly, like a whispered breath on the wind. And that is enough. Thank you for sharing this quiet moment with me and for listening to the story of a life often hidden in shadow. If this gentle journey brought you peace or curiosity, please consider subscribing for more stories told softly and like this video to help others find their way here. May your nights be calm, your dreams restful, and your heart light. Until next time, take care and let the whispers of history soothe your soul.